Hi everyone! For this video, I'm doing a study of this landscape, I guess you can call it. It's a city street view that I had seen while scrolling on TikTok from this user whose name I will put on the screen. And it's just this really beautiful, I love the colors of this Japanese street. And so I wanted to do a study of it because I think I can serve to get better at drawing streets and environments like this. But mainly this study, the purpose is for me to get better at color for realistic scenes and realistic places, and really get in my head how shadows and light works and how daytime looks without making things up. So the whole time I have the screenshot that I had took off to the left while I'm working, and I really try to copy the colors without color picking at all from the reference and see how they work together and how textures are created, but without focusing too much on the details. I do it a bit, but the purpose isn't really to copy one for one this picture, but to just really better my eye. So when I was doing this, I really tried to keep in mind painting principles that I had kind of learned when I used to do physical art and paint actually and stuff, and some tips I heard from my painter friends, which is to just block in all of the colors first. Starting from a white canvas or the blank background is a bit intimidating, and it's also very difficult to then gauge the colors that you're working with based off of if you have white as the backdrop rather than having the colors next to each other so you can see how they affect each other and color theory, color whatever. But so the first thing I do after laying in a really rough sketch, because I don't want to get too caught up in the details, is block in all of the colors and try as best as I can to match what I'm seeing and get the base color. Even if there's some color shifting going on in the trees or in the grounds, the shadow, it's not just gray or flat, it's kind of blue, and then it shifts a little bit purple and more gray and darker, whatever. I tried to lay in the flat color that I think would work best when to layer upon further. So you can see me doing that. Then after I finish layering all the colors on, I then go in with a bit more details just to break it up so the objects look more like what I'm referencing, leaves and the shapes of the shadows and the little details the fence and whatnot, the steps on the side and whatever, and then I go in on top of that with additional detail, add in the color shifts and really try to capture the essence of the picture in the drawing that I'm doing, with all the little color shifts and the very bright, vibrant colors, and just capture the nuance of it. That's really what I'm going for. Here you can really see me start going to adding a lot of the detail or to fix some of the lighting shifts using the lasso tool. And I like to use, instead of the airbrush, to use what is it called, like a spray can kind of brush, because I like the details. It's not as smooth as the airbrushes. I go in and I fix some of the shadows and add more details with lines. I thought it'd be really fun to use like really swirly shapes to do like the shapes of the bushes, instead of going for like the more rounder shapes that I kind of went for with the trees behind it. And then I go in and add some more detail with some line, just to add some visual interest to the edges and kind of give a bit of texture to the shapes of the plants. And I go in and fix some of the shadows, and I'm kind of hopping around a bit, adding more detail as I see fit, like shadows to the houses in the background, and then some of the nature that's there. Really try to add in all of the little details, even more so like in the front now, because the closer you are, the more details you should see. And so I wanted that to be the case. And then I was kind of like, I thought this was really smart, instead of like going in and drawing the brick kind of shapes, to just make a brick pattern and then lay it where I need it to be. I kind of wish that I could have done this without, using blending modes to change the colors of the bricks. I wish I could have just like painted in the right colors, but that would have been way too long and way too taxing, especially because I wanted to keep this study kind of quick. It ended up taking me an hour and 20 to 30 minutes to finish this piece, so I would say that's kind of quick, but I think I want to limit myself next time to just an hour or even as low as 30 minutes. But I don't know, I feel like an hour 30 minutes isn't so bad, like very steady. And then I brought in some more detail like the swirly shapes, and using the lasso tool to help create edges for the left side of the trees and bushes, and help create layers in the trees, like how I see in the picture, like it's like a tree in front of a tree, not just a wall, like not a flat wall, like there's some dimension. I wanted to add dimension as the point. And I add some more details like with line, and yeah. Actually, this tree kind of gave me a lot of trouble. It doesn't really look too accurate to the picture, like the reference that I have, and then I realized that I also forgot to fill in the sky before I put the tree down. Like I forgot to color in the sky that would be behind it. So then here I am, like you see me trying to like paint it in, but it's kind of messing up the shape of the mountain, and I realized, I could just like color drop like to fill it in, but it wasn't the same. And then I had to redo the tree anyway because I realized it was kind of wrong, like the position, like the amount of space that it took up. I was really just trying to fix the composition a bit of the tree, but then I realized, I think it was here that I realized, my proportions are off anyways, like, okay. She drew it wrong a little bit, because the picture's a bit zoomed in. Like, before I even started, I literally was like, I should make the canvas longer because the picture is slightly long compared to the screen size that I had gotten, but I didn't do that, and I was like, I'll just crop the picture. And then I moved my freaking reference. You see, like, the picture on the left is not how it was a bit before, so it's not even exactly like how I originally had it. And then I realized that, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so dumb. But we move, and then I'm adding more details, like trying to use my brushes to help me out and create the effect of like leaves, and so I don't have to go in and draw like individual leaves. But then I wanted to add some little details. I take the gel pen. I was kind of switching between, I wanted to use a limited amount of brushes when I was doing this, and I tried to keep to that. So I just used the gel pen brush. I used this square brush that I made. It's just a square. There's nothing special about it. It's literally just a square. But I made it, and I got that, like, I learned to, like, use squares and, like, simple shapes like that from this class that I took in school. You can see me fixing my freaking reference, lol, trying to get the cropping right again, but I can't, so whatever. But yeah, I learned in school from this one concept art. That wasn't the name of the class, but it was a concept art class, and he was like, yeah, like, this is, like, simple shapes are, like, better for blocking and stuff, because then you're not too caught up in the details. Like, you can get broader strokes and sharp lines because it's a square. And then adding the lighting off to the left, I would paint that, but no, that's not the point. Like, I mean, I guess it should have been the point, but I know how to achieve it with the layer, so I wanted to use that instead of killing myself to try and paint that. Anyways, the brushes that I use this simple square, and then I use this long rectangle. I also made it, and when I'm using it right now, I have the opacity kind of lowered, so I'm able to, like, layer with it. And then I used an aerosol brush, like something that mimics, like, spray paint, and there's a spray paint section in Procreate where you can find those brushes, but I used, like, the medium one. And then I did use, like, I think it's like speckles or something, like splatter, whatever, but I prefer the medium one, and, like, a fine mist, but most of the time you'll catch me use the medium one. And then here I am, like, adding in a bunch of little details, like the stuff that I was saving for last, like the telephone poles and the telephone wires or electric wires, just because it makes no sense to add those in while I'm blocking in everything if there's such fine lines and they go on top of anything or everything anyways. So I just was gonna add them in last. I didn't want to pay too much mind to the houses in the back, but I wanted to add some little, like, fix some of the color blocking that I did so it would look more like the roof of a house than, like, kind of blobs in the distance. So I just wanted to sharpen that up and fix that. There's also a bit of, like, color shifting there, so I wanted to make it a bit darker at the peak of the roof and then a bit more red towards the edge of the roof, like the other end where the light would be hitting it more. And then I add some, like, little details, like light hitting the peak, so it kind of gives the illusion like these are, like, triangle roofs, you know, without me going in and drawing a bunch of triangle roofs. And then there's some little nature back there, and I just scribble those in too because it matches the style of the rest of the way that I drew the nature. It's really funny, I'm doing this recording, like, the voiceover, and I kind of feel a bit odd talking to myself, but it's not too abnormal. I just kind of feel, like, lost a bit in what to talk about other than my process. I wonder if you guys proverbial, like, you guys general prefer voice, like, speaking videos. I would have just uploaded this and let it be the ASMR of the pen on the screen, but I'm super annoying and I actually hum the entire time, so I can't just let there be silence in this video because all you will hear is me humming, which is so stupid. I draw a lot while listening to music, whether it's in headphones or out loud, and that's kind of not conducive to YouTube, so I can't do that, and I can't just let it be a silent video And I can't also, like, I'm having a hard time, like, finding good background music, so I don't want to let that play a lot. And I think talking, like, captures people's attention better, kind of give podcast vibes, you know? But is this weird? Would you prefer this, or, like, do you prefer, like, videos that are, like, more silent? Or, like, a mix of the two? Yeah, let me know. Okay, now we're kind of coming towards the end of this process. Here I'm just adding little color tweaks, and here's a POV switch from camera to screen recording on my iPad, so you can see literally I'm just making tiny tweaks to the colors of the shadow and a little bit of the light, and adding that in the appropriate places. I'm adding a little bit of color to a little bit of places, and I realized that there's this little spot right here that I forgot to freaking fill in. So I'm just color dropping. It doesn't matter. I know a bit of it is on the sidewalk and it's not the right color, but I'm pretty satisfied with the way that this study turned out. So this is the end. This is the final piece. This is what it's looking like. I'm satisfied with what I was able to learn, and I'm excited to do more. Thanks. Bye.